Hello and welcome to Brotherly Love Gaming. I'm Alex,
And I'm Spence.
and today we're going to take a little trip into the Legend of Zelda series. Now, we both have a lot of experience with pretty much every game in the series,
Yeah.
but just to narrow it down a little bit, we decided to stick to the Nintendo 64 versions, since these were our first introductions to the series. I can start talking about how we got into the games. So it all started because we had the N64. It was like our main game console at the time. And I had a friend at school who was just ranting and raving about how amazing the Ocarina of Time was. And when Christmas of 2000 rolled around, I just told my mom I want the Zelda game for the N64. Unbeknownst to me, at the time, the Majora's Mask had just come out that October, so that's what I ended up getting for Christmas. Now, at that time, you were how old?
When we first got Majora's Mask, I was
Right.
only 3.
Okay.
So I remember coming in and watching you still, like, as a little baby.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, like, most of it is later on, because of the fact that it took you so long to
Right.
finish it.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that, so again, I had the strategy guide for the game, so it's all about the strategy guides. And I swear there was like a misprint or something in the instructions for how to beat the Goron Temple in that game, where you had to punch the ice blocks, something that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I always got stuck right around the same part. So I got frustrated, went and did pretty much everything else you can do in that game without beating
Everything.
that.
Like, getting all of the masks. He even got the Zora mask before
Yes.
he even finished the Goron stuff. And as like a 5-year-old kid, 6-year-old kid, because it took years to beat.
We're talking years, literally years.
Literally years. Like, he would sit and play for 4 or 5 hours at a time and just not get anything done other than all the other side quests. And I was like, why can't you just go do the main thing? He's like,
Right.
'cause I'm stuck. I can't get
Occasionally go
anywhere."
back and try the temple.
Yeah, occasionally go back, and it was just like super frustrating as little Spence.
Eventually, we're talking, literally years later, we finally did get through it and then play the rest of the game. But I think at that point, I actually had gone out and bought Ocarina of Time
Yeah.
and went back and played that game.
I've always remembered having these two. So like I said to him, I don't remember when I was 3 when we got it.
Right.
But my memory recalls that you went and you played through all of Ocarina of Time,
Before
beat
finishing.
it, still didn't even beat this game yet.
I believe
and,
it.
and this was the first one.
That makes sense to me, that we went and I got Ocarina and played through all of that before going back and finishing Majora's Mask. Even though, like, to me, I still feel like I like Majora's Mask more and have more nostalgia for it. Like, I bought the Majora's Mask Special Edition 3DS, but it took me so much longer to ever actually finish.
It's one of my favorite games though, because like I think the whole mask mechanic is
Right.
is like one of the coolest things that Zelda's ever done.
I love playing as Zora Link. I was
yeah.
pretty much him like 100% of the time.
I know.
Just because I thought he was so cool.
He's
And he's
a
got the
badass.
guitar when he plays
Yeah.
his song. He like moves a little bit faster than everybody. He's got fin boomerangs. Like, I thought he was just the coolest thing.
Blades his hands basically with the fins. I can tell you a specific thing that I remember when you got the Fierce Deity mask,
Right.
which I thought was like the coolest thing, and fighting Majora with it, and I was like, oh my god,
Right.
this thing's like a beast. It made the fight so much easier comparatively.
And I was like, oh, I don't want to use it though. I want to try to beat the game without using
without
it. And I got my ass kicked like immediately. So I was just like, screw it, bring that mask out. I did it, and then wiped the floor with him basically.
Right.
First time through Ocarina of Time. This was like after it was like a big thing. Everyone was like the Ocarina of Time, best game, made of chocolate, whatever. And so I'm approaching this game, and I know that everyone's like afraid of the water temple. Everybody's going water temple, water temple, water temple. But before you ever get to the water temple, as Child Link, you go through Jabu Jabu's belly, you take the princess with you. And I thought that was super frustrating and annoying, and I'm just like, man, this water temple is really just
That's right.
the worst. And then I get to the actual water temple
And
later
you're
in the
like,
game, and then I'm like,
oh,
now I get it. This is what people meant.
Yeah. I remember the water temple in specific when you fight like Mirror Link, Dark Link.
Mhm.
And it took you like a while to figure out how that fight worked. And it was super frustrating watching it. I was like, you can beat every other boss. Why can't you beat an imitation?
Now, I feel like you can look at that and be like, oh, that's actually... So, like, a really well-designed dungeon. It's just kind of, like, frustrating to figure out, you know, the mechanics of, okay, you got to send the water everywhere. And...
Right. Just out of curiosity, out of these two games, what is your favorite boss, if you can recall? It doesn't have to be the name, but just, like, the temple and what it is.
Well... Funnily, since I really dislike, as much as I dislike Snowhead,
the goat.
Goat boss is actually really cool and a lot of fun because you got to race them around the track basically. I think it's a really great use of, you know, the Goron mechanics. You know, not just like challenging, not just a strong boss, but you have to sort of really know how to use the Goron mask in order to win.
Right. Ironically, mine's the first boss. In Majora's Mask, it's like the warrior guy. I thought it was like the coolest thing. It kind of freaked me out because you know, he's a little creepy, but I thought it was just like super cool because it was like a large scale, like almost like a knight sort of. And he was just like messing my day up all the time. I was like, whoa, that's super cool.
Right.
And ironically, the first boss in Ocarina of Time is just as creepy because I don't like spiders. So
that's right. It is a spider.
It's a giant spider with that big eye that you have to like search in the dark. And when we played through this is a good point. When we played through Ocarina of Time, we did not adjust the brightness on the TV.
Oh god, more.
So everything was dark. So it was almost impossible to see in that boss room.
Right.
Except for the eye when it opened up. And there were also like a few other like the Shadow Temple was almost impossible. Because we never adjusted the brightness on the TV, so because we had like the little box TV.
Yeah.
There was a point in each game where I was just like, nope, I'm too scared. And in this one, it's specifically the like when you have to go down in the grave with the shriekers or whatever they're called, where they hug you and they're like mummies.
Right.
I had to get through that and I was like terrified, but like coming out of the Temple of Time and walking through was like, nope. Powered it off.
Oh right, yeah.
And then
the first time when it's like hell on Earth.
Yeah, it's just basically like the apocalypse happens, and you're like, "This is not the same game I was just playing."
Yeah.
And then this one, with the moon, that face used to terrify me as a little me.
I wanted to see what would happen if you just let the moon fall. And you were just like, "No, Alex, no, don't."
I was freaking out.
And
because it just like makes that noise like where the clock's like doom. Yeah. And I was like, Alex, this is not going to be good, dude. Let's not do this. I had nightmares of that.
Well, Majora's Mask definitely predates
all of them.
Pretty much everything. And, I mean, I guess in terms of me becoming interested in, like, that style of game, that was the first one that I played.
Right. If I didn't see you play this game, like, and how I thought it was, like, super cool with the masks and stuff, I probably wouldn't have been as into the whole series, like, in general. Or even necessarily this style of game.
Right.
Because like if I didn't play this, what would have the first one been that I did play? Probably either like Twilight Princess.
That would have been a while,
like
because we didn't even have a GameCube. So.
That's what I mean. We had once the Wii came out. Yeah. Twilight Princess would have been the first one.
Would have been the first like console one anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like I talked before, like when we talked about Kingdom Hearts, about how like I was drawn to that game over like the rest of the Final Fantasy games.
Right.
You know, even though now my instinct would probably be, let me go for the turn-based junk. But back then, I think that there was like a part of me that was like, oh, I get what the 3D, you're fighting the enemies in the environment kind of thing is. Right. So I do think that in that kind of way, Zelda really laid the groundwork for the kind of game I wanted to approach. If we just talk about Zelda in general, we'll be here all day. You know, we kind of have to break the series down into smaller chunks somehow. So we'll figure it out. We'll keep coming back and talking about them.
We're definitely going to, because like that, it's just a great series. We're going to have to come back. Like same thing with Kingdom Hearts. We'll probably come back and talk about other games. But
anyway, so I guess to wrap it up, we'll talk about some more games in the future. And if any viewers out there want to hear us talk about a specific set of games, something like that, let us know. In the meantime, if you want to see more of this, you can like the channel, subscribe for more, and we'll see you all next time.